Hello and welcome back. This is the season review. I'm going to look back over the course of this season. One of the worst seasons I think I've ever witnessed supporting Luton. The most avoidable relegation. I'm going to go through the season. I'm going to give you some points on which I felt the football club made mistakes. I felt the club made 5 massive mistakes throughout the whole course of the season and talk about other factors as well and just give you my overall thoughts on it. I do this every single season. You guys love it. Tomorrow's video will be who do I want to keep and who do I want to get rid of at the football club. That could potentially be a very long video, just like this one. So I do apologise with the length, but I need to get everything off my chest to tell you how I really feel about this season. So, as I said already, I think there's been 5 big problems that have happened this year. 5 big football decisions that I think have let the club down and have played a massive part in why we've suffered relegation. So I'm going to go through those big 5 problems now. The first problem was the summer recruitment. We were far too slow in bringing players to the football club. I'm convinced if we actually brought in the likes of Tom Krause, Victor Moses, also McGuinness, before a ball was kicked, we might have done a lot better in the first couple of games. McGuinness would have known the actual players he was playing with rather than just being thrown straight in. The same with Walsh as well, just having him a lot sooner rather than after the season has started would have been a bit nicer. So yeah, look, slow recruitment and also the quality of those transfers. Could we have done better? Yes, I think we could have done better. Of course, the board have come out since and said we've had some poor relationship with agents. I don't think that's an excuse. Unfortunately, we should have been a lot more proactive in getting players through the door. You can blame agents all you want. You should know who the good agents are now. You're not new owners. You're not new at doing this. You've been in charge of the football club for a very long time. So you should know who the good agents are. Maybe you got exposed to a couple of bad ones, but you should have realised, actually, we need to move on quite quickly because the season's going to start soon. So yeah, I felt the summer recruitment was far too slow and yeah, the preparation for it was not good enough. And that does move me to my second big point, the pre-season preparation. This summer camp in Europe, that country, Slovenia, no, let's not go back there because clearly it's not working. I remember players just getting injured in pre-season. They were getting damaged by the surroundings because the pitch was like on near a hill. So they were getting hurt. They were going into fences. Yeah, let's not go back to that place because clearly that's not prepped us at all. It didn't really help with player recovery. The amount of injuries which we had during pre-season, the results which we were getting, the performances as well, which we were putting in. Now, I know pre-season is only about getting players fit, but who got fit during that pre-season? Because when we started that first game against Burnley, we looked miles off it. We didn't look fit at all. In fact, we didn't look like we could get going until after a couple of games into the season. So yeah, it was not a good pre-season at all. Moving on to my third massive point, changing the style. Rob Edwards said he wanted to play this more, expansive, this attractive style of play. We're going to score loads of goals. We were the complete opposite of that. And I got no issue in changing the style. But then recruit players to play the style. Did we do that? No, I don't think we did. We signed Baptiste, who's played not much this season because he's got a history of getting injured. Walsh, to be fair to him, didn't get injured, but he picked up too many red cards over his time in a Luton shirt. So did we really sign players to play this expansive style of football? No. So Rob Edwards should have changed the style to what we were doing previously. He should have been adaptable and he just was not adaptable. Wasn't adaptable to an injury crisis right at the start of the season. He was adamant in playing 3 at the back when we didn't even have 3 centre-halves fit to do that. We started that game against Burnley with Walters, Joe Johnson and Teddy Menji. What on earth was he thinking in doing that? Hindsight, yeah, wonderful thing, but no. Even when I saw that in my hand, that starting 11, I was thinking, what on earth is he doing? I forgot about Walters, that we actually signed him because we haven't seen him much recently. But he wasn't a player that was going to instantly improve us, was he? He was definitely a player for the future. So yeah, recruitment as a whole, absolutely terrible. And yeah, Edwards couldn't really play the style he wanted to because we didn't recruit to the style. And that does bring me on to my next massive point. Keeping Rob Edwards far too long. I said after Oxford at home, where we got the 2-2 draw, and so many people came at me and said, Lewis, you're overreacting, you're being too negative here. I wanted Edwards gone at Oxford at home because I saw us not be the same Luton. I saw a completely different team out there. I saw a team that was not fighting for the manager. I saw a team that just wasn't willing to run through a brick wall for him. From being 2-0 up in the game to then draw the game 2-2 and then could have lost it towards the end because I thought Oxford that day were outstanding. That just shows you to me that he just wasn't... things was just not going to get better. And then we lost 5-1 against Borough. And then he does that interview after the game. And if that was not a red flag or alarm bells ringing for the board and Gary Sweet and, everyone who makes a decision above that he needed to go, I don't know what will. Because that for me was a man that was saying, I can't improve this. I am defeated. I need to be let go. I need to, be sacked. And we didn't make that decision. And we kept him in charge of the football club. We were too loyal to him because of what he achieved during the Premier League season and also winning us promotion to the Premier League. But it meant it was another 2 more months of losing games of football. And that just made things even worse. And then finally it clicked and they went, yeah, we've got to get rid of him after QPR. And that's when we brought in Matt Bloomfield. But that does bring me on to my final point, which I do think cost us relegation. Yes, hiring Matt Bloomfield, I back him going forward, but was he the right manager at the time? Now, they knew Matt Bloomfield needed time with the squad to get results. It happened at Colchester and it also happened at Wycombe. He needed time to eventually get results, and that's exactly what happened here with us. It took 8 games. After 8 games, we started winning games of football under Matt Bloomfield, and it does show you how big of a mess we were in when he arrived. If he couldn't get us to win a game in those first 8 matches, it just shows you how big of the problem was here at Luton. Matt Bloomfield has already referenced how players, were not fit enough. The defence was absolutely shocking. We weren't good going forward. And he's improved all 3 aspects of that. But it's taken a lot of work. And that's why you needed to bring him in a lot sooner. If we brought in Matt Bloomfield in December, I'm literally 99% certain we would have stayed up. And if you look at the points total, which both managers got. So Edwards was in charge for 26 games and he got 25 points. It's a miracle that we didn't even get into the bottom 3 with that points tally. In fact, I think the only reason why we weren't in the bottom 3 under Rob Edwards was because we played more games than the other teams below us in the championship table. And then Bloomfield came in so he's managed 20 games. He's got 24 points. That would have put us 16th in the table if he did that over the course of the season. So it just shows you that we needed to make that manager change a lot sooner and we didn't do it. And that's the frustrating thing. And all 5 of those things which I've mentioned, so summer recruitment, pre-season prep, changing the style and then resulting back to the old one, which confused everyone, keeping Edwards far too long and then hiring a manager that needs time, have all contributed to why we have got relegated this season. I thought our January transfer window was good. The signings which we made had an impact. Isaiah Jones, he had an impact. Makosso, he had an impact, which none of us thought he would actually do. Asgard had an impact. You had Ali have an impact, and Karen Naismith had an impact. That for me was a good January window. Players having an impact. But the summer, it let us down. And going forward in this next summer transfer window, we cannot repeat that. If we repeat that, we're in for another long season. We really are in for a long season. And the biggest thing which Luton really need to do is have a big clear out. And I will talk about that in tomorrow's video. So make sure you stay tuned for there. But yeah, overall, this season has been shocking. The best game for me, Best home game, you're looking at beating Watford 3-0 at home under Rob Edwards, and then beating Coventry 1-0 in that dramatic fashion. And then away from home, you've got to be looking at the game against Derby, where we beat them 1-0. Not many good moments this year, and I'm going to repeat this again, and I've repeated this in so many of my videos. I still blame the players more than I do the hierarchy. I blame the players so much because these are championship proven players. These are players that have played at this level. A lot of them have been successful at this level as well. The goals department, if Elijah actually managed to take half of these big chances, we would have been in the bottom three. Yes, I don't want to blame Elijah completely, but the amount of big chances he's missed, he leads that. You know, he's missed the most big chances in the Championship. And if he just took 5 of them, or even I think 2 or 3 of them, we would have stayed up in certain games because he missed some big chances against certain teams. And we were all thinking, how has he missed those chances? You look at Portsmouth away from home. You look at that Borough game at home. Those 2 games in particular, and I don't want to punish myself by going through the season because I can literally go through so many games and gone, we should have got something there. We should have got something there. But then at the same time, when we were winning games under Rob Edwards, I felt we were winning and it was just papering over the cracks. We weren't winning with conviction. Somehow I was walking away thinking, how on earth have we won that? And I look at that Sheffield Wednesday game at home where Sheffield Wednesday were miles the better side. I look at that Derby game as well. How on earth did we walk away with the win there? So there's been multiple games like that this season where I don't know how we've walked away with a win. And that was another worrying thing under Rob Edwards. We weren't winning with conviction, but then under Matt Bloomfield, we started to win with conviction. And I do back Bloomfield going forward because, like I said, he's improved the defence, he's improved going forward. He's also improved the fitness at the football club. So in League One, a league which he knows because he's done so well with Wycombe I back him to do well there. But if he doesn't do well in his first 6 months in charge of the football club in League One, then yeah, the pressure is going to be sky high because there's no way fans are going to accept another poor season. Not back-to-back relegations and then another poor year. Fans are going to start voicing their thoughts even louder. So the board have got to get it right this summer. Otherwise, yeah, it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be a nice year next year. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts on this season. If I was to give a player of the season, which I don't really want to do, it would go to Clark because of it's his best year in terms of attacking contributions this year for Luton in his entire time at the football club. So he's the one player that I do think cares. With the others, I do have a massive question mark whether or not they care or not, if they want to be here or not. But Clark's someone who I do think does care. When that final whistle went against West Brom, you can tell the reaction by Clark. It impacted him the most. You can see by his reaction. So, yeah, I don't know about the others, but Clark, I think it did hurt him. But yeah, that is the end of this video. I could go into more detail about how bad this season has been and remember the bad moments, but I'll be doing a lot more damage to myself. I'm just hoping and praying that we've learnt so much this season. Mistakes to never ever be repeated. We still haven't heard anything from the club after the announcement of relegation. I think they're going to keep things quiet because they don't want to talk because they know what the reaction is going to be like. And I don't really know what else they could really say, to be honest, because they're not going to admit certain things. They're not going to say why we didn't sign certain players in the summer. They're not going to say, oh yeah, we tried to sign this player, but Burnley got there first. You know what I mean? They're not going to say stuff like that. So I feel like the answers which we all want, we're not going to hear anyway, because they won't go into that detail. So yeah, look, tomorrow's video, I will give you who I think should stay, who I think should go. And yeah, it's going to be a long video. Hopefully you guys are ready for it. So thank you for watching this one though. Please smash that like button. Drop me a comment down below on how bad this season has been for Luton. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next video.